Imagine having to pretend that you're interested in vegetables.
Can you imagine that? The audacity of being interested in vegetables. So if you don't know Winston, SerpentZA, he's a popular YouTuber. He used to live in China for a long time. Left a few years ago, and ever since then, it's gotten pretty rough on China in his point of view. As you know from the last episode, if you're watching this recently, the last episode I recorded of my travel vlog was me meeting an interesting guy who is promoting the successful agriculture in his city. The event was put on by a group called CRI, and we were meeting different places in Shanxi province, particularly areas around Xi'an. In this case, we were brought to an area that was trying and fairly successfully producing vegetables using organic fertilizer and producing enough vegetables to supply all of the province and even some neighboring provinces. And this apparently was open season for criticism because this event that we went on, just this one event as part of many events on our trip, was just a beautiful target by people who would like to offer their own opinions on what we were doing and how we were unwitting accomplices to some nefarious deeds by the Chinese government.
This is some low-hanging fruit here, or should I say vegetables. So what's happening in this clownish vegetable dance extravaganza here? Let's take a look at the sign here, since unlike our heroic foreign vegetable dances, I suspect I can actually read Chinese.
So how does this critique start? Well, after a strange montage of us dancing with some condescending music, it gets into the details of it, and the condescension just starts seething. I have nothing against somebody's skill as far as reading Chinese. It's a difficult language to know. It's very easy to look at a video of a backdrop behind us and see some strange propaganda messages that might be nefarious in motive. If I would have known the truth, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten myself into such a mess. What did they say?
So the sign says, 让世界了解和存, which basically just means let the world understand 和存, I guess.
Pretty close. Yeah, let the world understand 和存. 和存was a village we were in, and they were doing something very interesting with the fact that they were growing all organically and producing a large scale of vegetables. That message is pretty nefarious. What else do they say?
And 和存走向世界, which means, let 和存go out to the world.
Wow. I can't believe it. If I had known what these words said, holy moly.
And beneath that we see 中国大棚第一村和村. So it's just saying the number one village of Dapeng.
I've lived in China for 10 years, and having a city try to claim that they're the number one city for producing vegetables, golly, you got me. You got me. Now, the truth of the matter was that we walked through the village area and we came upon this fellow who was doing TikTok videos. If you hadn't seen the video, please watch it. It was very entertaining and interesting visit. In fact, the gentleman that I met was about my dad's age. I could see a lot of enthusiasm in a man that was, getting towards retirement age. This guy was open to new technologies. He was excited about what his village was known for. And instead of putting him down, I wanted to do anything to lift this guy up. In fact, I was proud to meet this guy, and he was proud of what he was doing. And everybody around him was pretty proud of what he was doing too. This guy is so proud of what he has created. The dancing that was so condescendingly accompanied by funny music was a dance that, you might compare with like the Macarena. I see people doing meme-style dances on social media in America, in the West, all over the world. Fruit stands and places, hardware stores and all sorts of things promoting their store and trying to do a gimmick about it. I didn't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I was pretty happy with it. It's interesting to see somebody take such a negative stance on it. I guess if you want to look at that way, you're more than welcome. It is a free world.
Basically, what's been happening recently is Xi Jinping has been pushing for China to stop relying on the outside world when it comes to everything.
He then went on to talk about how China was trying to consolidate its agriculture and manufacturing and do more things locally. China first, you might say. Let's stop relying on foreign countries that might be able to hurt us with trade or tariffs or things like that, and let's start making stuff locally. Geez, it just seems really crazy that a country would try to manufacture and produce stuff internally so they don't have to deal with geopolitical squabbles. Obviously, I'm drawing a line in what America's trying to do by drawing their manufacturing jobs and this type of thing back to America. In that case, I see that as a very good positive. If they can do that, if they can manage it, that's great. But in this world, in this video, it's suddenly the most nefarious thing you could possibly do.
The actual arable land in China isn't that much, so they import a lot of food. They rely on a lot of imports. Xi Jinping has this big push at the moment to make China self-reliant.
Bummer. How dare a country try and do stuff on the inside when they're getting flack and problems on importing from the outside? A lot of the situation with COVID has created problems with China importing a lot of stuff, especially frozen meats and whatnot. A lot of those stuff is finding that it's carrying the virus. And so China has been upping its game recently, but has been for quite some time trying to figure out how to domestically produce stuff. I believe that there is a balance in geopolicy and that you should be able to manufacture stuff in other countries and bring it in, or do it here yourself. In a previous video, I actually talked about the transportation system in China and how it is fantastic. And I was attacked because people were saying that China didn't make those trains. Those are trains built on Japanese technology. It's funny how if they bring in the trains from the outside, it's bad. If they're trying to grow the food on the inside, it's bad. It seems like China can't win these days. And it's a noticeable trend I see more and more.
Now, as has always been the case in CCP, China, and of course other communist countries, is that propaganda and image is more important than actual facts.
Okay, then he starts talking about how propaganda is more important than facts. Now, let me tell you this right away. I'm going to actually make a video about what the word propaganda does mean in China. It means a few different things. And the definition of propaganda, the way most Chinese companies use it, is a bit different than the way people perceive it in the West. In fact, when I first moved to China, I started hearing the word propaganda, and it just sort of rang in my ears like, whoa. I was like, all of these people are doing propaganda? Pretty much any advertising agency in America that advertises Coca-Cola or Nike or a business locally, they are a propaganda agency. They are spewing propaganda. That is propaganda, according to Chinese definition of propaganda. So propaganda as a word is used all over China. But it doesn't necessarily mean false information. It means the delivery of information to influence people. Show people we're making a lot of vegetables. Show people we're trying to fix X, Y, and Z. Show people blah, blah, blah. It's a very common way to describe advertising, promotion, propaganda. In China, it's basically all the same as far as the definition goes. But obviously, when you see the word propaganda in China together right away, it's an easy target. See, they called it propaganda, so it must not be true. That's not really the truth. Obviously, there are some things that are promoted here in a way that might fit in the Western definition of propaganda, but most of the time, I would say it's not.
There's a fake it till you make it sort of process. For example, we will be self-sufficient within 5 years. This is in fact why so many people starved under Mao Zedong, Mad Mao.
Now, an interesting new tactic for Winston in his videos is to talk about how China is pretty much just like the way it was under the period of Mao during the Cultural Revolution. It hasn't changed a bit. It's run by the same group of people, the same way. And he brings this up in my video and our experience with my YouTuber friends in the way that he says they treated crop growing in the period of Mao. Now, back in the day, Mao made some crazy mistakes with regards to growing crops, and he caused the starvation of a lot of people. His decisions rippled across the entire country in some tragic ways. There are stories of him inviting people to see a field, then they look at the field, and then as those people are transported to another field, they uproot the field and put it over in the other spot. It looks like two fields, but it was actually just one field. And the insinuation is that's what we were doing. We were unwittingly those people doing the exact same thing that people were doing during the Mao times. And we were feeding into the narrative that China is starving, there are no crops, and all we're seeing is a basically head of lettuce moved from one field to another, being called a million heads of lettuce, but is really just one. It's so arrogant to think that China has not grown since then. China is a different China than it was in the past. I took a drone and flew it way up in the sky, and I saw fertile land, and I saw hundreds and hundreds of greenhouses, as far as I could see. Were they relocating those greenhouses? Was there a Photoshop or After Effects on my eyeballs, on my video screen, in my drone that were multiplying out these greenhouses? I don't think so. But the problem is that the people that are listening to his video don't know that. They just listen to what he says is the truth. He doesn't even allow for the potential for him to be wrong. I know. I used to live in China. Well, I know. I live in China. And I'm talking to the people who are growing these vegetables. And under my perception, they were doing okay. In fact, what they were doing was commendable.
The fascinating thing, though, is that if you look at propaganda from the era, all you see are posters of sort of bountiful vegetables and grain and farming and all this kind of thing.
Again, he talks about Mao and how it was fascinating back then that the advertisements around there always showed food. There was always Mao walking through a field of wheat or a worker with a bucket full of vegetables and fruits. Well, these are government promotional images from many, many years ago. Government propaganda is government propaganda pretty much everywhere. Everywhere you see a bald eagle and an American flag, maybe some guns, maybe a president riding a tank with an American flag draped over him.
Well, let's look at some of the local coverage of our exotic paid performers.
Then he pulls up a news article that was promoted by the event, and there's an interesting story here. We arrived to see the farms. And I was kind of thinking the day was going to be a bit boring. When we arrived, this old man comes out of his little office, and he's excited to see all of these foreigners with cameras. He walks out and shakes my hand and says, I am a video maker too. In China, they call a TikTok Douyin, and Douyin is a very popular video site. And he was making Douyin videos. So he invited us in to see his little area where he makes Douyin videos. I fell in love with this guy. He was excited about what he was doing. He was doing something for his village and also for his own success. And he was 65 years old. To me, that was something to be commendable. I told the guy, JaYoe, he wanted to sit down and see if I wanted to be part of his TikTok show. I says, hell yeah. Then he invited his aunties, which are i.e. aunties you call old ladies in the village, to come on over, and they had performed some sort of cool little dance. And he says, would you like to be part of my dance? Hell yeah, I would. I would have never thought in a million years that somebody could look at that, what we did, maybe think of it as goofy, but to degrade it in such a way, shameful. So the company that took us there saw this as an amazing opportunity to add to their story of us traveling. And they created this interesting article. And then they submitted the article to a bunch of press release areas, and it pretty much spread all over the place. And our name popped up at a couple of places. Winston shows one of a website that has a hammer and sickle on it in the banner at the top. And he circles his mouse pointer around the hammer and sickle as if it is proof positive that the whole thing was a farce staged by the government in order to push some narrative that is not true. Granted, it was pushing a narrative. They're growing a lot of vegetables there. They're doing a pretty good job. Foreigners went there, had a good time. All of those things are pretty damn true. But you circle the hammer and sickle, and that creates a situation in your mind, a message. And that message is China bad, any news bad, untrue. These people are white monkey clown accomplices to something that is nefarious. I would guarantee that if you did anything that had to do with some sort of government project to grow vegetables or provide food or sustenance to people in America or anywhere in the world, you might find the Stars and Stripes or a flag of some nature in the corner of that government website that might be doing the article that talks positive things about their country. I don't think anybody would be picking apart other countries the way the same article might be written about something in China.
This has been covered to death, not only on local but national government websites. Here we can clearly see that this was organized by the propaganda department of Gaoling City, Xi'an.
Yeah, it got picked up. A good story got passed around because, you know what? It's a good story. I went online, actually, and I started looking for something comparable in the West. And you know what I found? I found COVID deaths. I found Biden money issues. I found Trump hate articles. I found Trump supporting articles. I found political bullshit of every facet. And all I saw was a bunch of frustratingly angry articles that were spouting angry rhetoric, one side going to the other and the other side going to the other. And death. Well, I'll tell you what, China doesn't have a lot of death going on. So I'm pretty happy that I was part of an article that was talking about how China's trying to feed people in its own country. How that could be spun as a negative, beyond me.
Our unwitting cucumber biters are being used as a tool by the Chinese government to prove that everything is on track.
Our unwitting cucumber biters are being used to promote an untruth. Well, you're not here, so you don't know what is true and what's not true. Unwitting is an insult to my intelligence and the intelligence of the people in the group. You make us sound like we are fools, and that is not true. Well, Guelo 60 is kind of a fool, and I have a fool streak in me. But that certainly doesn't take away from the fact that we weren't being unwittingly accomplice into a nefarious conspiracy. It sounds a lot like you're the one spouting conspiracy that's unfounded. So,
are being used as a tool by the Chinese government to prove that everything is on track and that the people of Shanxi are happy and content.
And then you go on to say that we're promoting a message that the people of Shanxi are content and happy. How many people in Shanxi you know that aren't happy? Are there people in America that aren't happy? Are there people in any part of the world that aren't happy? I'm sure you'll be able to find them. I went around a lot of places in Shanxi. We weren't restricted on travel. We went places, we walked around. China is not the way most people outside think it is, where it's restrictive like North Korea. You're not allowed to go off the path. You can pretty much go anywhere you want. I see a lot of happy people. There's some people that aren't happy. There's unhappy people everywhere. But to think that we are promoting a message that people are happy in Shanxi, I'll take it. But I won't take it the way you're delivering it.
This, of course, is solely to be used for domestic propaganda efforts to reassure and placate the locals and give them confidence in the government's efforts.
Confidence in the government's efforts. Isn't that what all of our politicians in the West do when they get up on the podium and they talk about the validity of a vaccine, or that they're doing X, Y, or Z good, and that you should calm down, we're doing a good job, don't worry, pay your taxes. We're going to build that road in the middle of the town. The library is coming up. It's going to make your life better. I mean, really? Is this a China thing? Are you arguing about a China thing? Doesn't every government have an obligation to reassure and placate their populace to make them feel good about the country they live in?
Guys, I have no beef or vegetables. with our intrepid troupe of tomato jugglers. I can actually read Chinese. Clownish white monkey jobs.
Of course, you don't have anything against us. I mean, we can't even read Chinese or barely speak Chinese. And we're ignorant, and we're clowns. We're white monkeys. Accomplices to horrible tragedies on fairly regular basis. Yeah, no. Obviously, you don't have a beef with us. Honestly, if you thought of all of those things were true about us, you should have a beef with us.
I hope you found this video educational. It's always good to understand what you're being presented about China. Is it real and genuine, or is it some kind of puff piece government propaganda?
I hope you found this video educational. It's always important to understand what you're being presented about China. You know, is it real and genuine, or is it some sort of puff piece propaganda? Listen, you guys know, if you watch my channel, I do not like to dig into other YouTubers. I believe that I have a certain perception that's valuable, and I believe other people might have an opposite perception that is also valuable. But there comes a limit when you're not nuanced, and you're not being fair, and you're simply speculating or simply inventing things out of whole cloth that you believe to be true and are designed to make people feel anger and frustration towards an issue. And I just don't think that's right.
I do not participate in YouTube drama and squabbles.
In the end, he goes on to say that there's a few of us that have made videos that attack him and his character, and that he doesn't like to get involved in back and forths between YouTubers. It's funny that he makes this as he's making a video where he's criticizing his fellow YouTubers in China and calling them clowns and white monkeys and unwitting accomplices to tragedy and pretty evil stuff, if you believe it. In the events that we did in Xi'an and Shanxi, there were some that I was actually quite frustrated with. We were thrown from one place to another. It was a bit haphazard. There were some places that I felt like weren't really for us to make videos and were probably more for them to take pictures of us. But in no way did we ever feel like we were covering up for some atrocity or some evil deed by a government overlord. In fact, everything that we saw was quite commendable, and the proof was in the pudding. We saw the people, we interacted with them, we saw the locations, we interacted with those. We didn't see relocated vegetables. We saw genuine people enjoying the fact that they are living in probably the most prosperous times they had ever lived in this country, and we were there to help them celebrate that and show the world that China is doing some pretty cool things. Anyways, if you like this video, please like, leave a comment. You think I'm wrong? You think I am just an unwitting fool, a useful idiot. That's another term he calls us, useful idiots. Anyways, if you'd like to follow me in some other capacities, I have a Patreon. You can listen to my Patreon. I do an audio podcast there. I get into some interesting issues as well, and I do that more regularly. And every other day I do a travel vlog, and then every other day I do a conversation where I bring up a topic like this, not always this serious or long and drawn out, but sometimes I think things need to be said, and I don't like people taking what I do and the perception I have and just twisting it into something so nefarious and so bad that it labels me as some sort of real useful idiot that is doing some serious damage to the people in the Chinese community and the world, and I just don't want to stand for it. So I won't get personal on anybody. I don't want to attack anybody's personal life, but I will defend myself if I feel like I'm being mislabeled, and that was this case. So thanks a lot. Take it easy, JaYoe, and we'll catch you in the next one.
I actually have nothing against them doing these sort of clownish white monkey jobs.